Hey, what's up, mortals? It is Davey Wavy, here with a new video for you. Welcome to Season 2, Part number 7 of What If Izuku Had a Decay Quirk? I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So, we begin. The next day after the monumental UA Sports Festival, the students all had to return to normal classes. Izuku walked back into Class 1A after spending the night in the nurse's office resting. He expected today to be back to normal classes, but upon entering the classroom, he was surprised by an extra face in the classroom. Stood at the front of the room were both Mr. Aizawa and the hero Midnight. Izuku went to take his seat, as class was soon to start and he didn't want to get scolded by Aizawa. He could tell people had noticed his hair change, but before anyone could ask him about it, class had begun. The bell to start class rang throughout the classroom as every student quickly stopped talking. In the front of the room, Aizawa took out a piece of chalk and began writing what looked like statistics on the chalkboard. Alright guys, on the board you'll see a number next to your name. That number is the amount of offers you've received by pro heroes wanting that student to intern for them to gain work experience. Aizawa explained to the intrigued class of students. Across the classroom, the students of 1A searched the board, looking for their names and wondering how many offers they had gotten. Some were disappointed with their low number of offers, while a few were happy to see a large number written next to their name. Izuku searched the board for his name to find himself with a few tens of offers. Frankly, the young Midoriya was stunned to see that he had gotten offers at all. He was almost expecting people to ignore him due to the style of his quirk. Midnight walked around the room, handing each student a dry erase board and a piece of paper with a list of agencies that had given them offers. Izuku looked at his list of offers to see a bunch of agency names, many of them he had never heard of before. But the agency that caught his attention instantly was the one at the top. It was an offer from the number 3 hero, Hawks. Izuku was starstruck to see that he had gotten the attention of such a high-ranking hero after just a few conversations with them. He was mentally celebrating, only for Aizawa to cut in, bringing the entire class's attention back to him. Before you all start deciding on who you plan to intern for, you must decide your hero names. To assist with your decision, Midnight has offered to give her own suggestions. Just great, Aizawa explained, sounding exhausted. The class spent the rest of their time trying to develop a good hero name. With some help from Midnight, many students figured out what they wanted. When the time was up, the students would go up to the front of the class and present their name ideas. Bakugo was among the first few students to present their idea, so he stood at the front of the room and loudly exclaimed his future hero name. Lord Explosion Murder! Bakugo yelled out, only to get sent back to his seat by Midnight to think of something else. Plenty of other students presented their hero names to the class, and eventually Izuku's turn came. He walked up to the front of the room and nervously presented his hero name. The Decay hero, Wither. After choosing their hero names, classes ended for the day, leaving the students time to choose which pro hero they wanted to intern for. Izuku looked over his list several times, but he had made up his mind several minutes ago. He was going to intern for Hawks. Izuku sent in his response to Hawks, and after a few days, the students of 1A all left UA for their internships. After a few-hour trip by train, Izuku arrived at Hawks' agency and walked through the front doors to meet a raven-haired woman who sat at the front desk. She looked up to see Izuku walking through the front door and simply asked Izuku one word. Intern? She questioned, sounding bored. Izuku nodded, and she pressed a button on the phone sitting on the desk. After a few minutes, Hawks flew down the stairs to come face to face with Izuku again. Hello, Izuku. Nice to see you again. What's with the new hair? Did you dye it since the sports festival? Oh, it's an honor to be here, sir. As for my hair, it's a side effect of my quirk. I'm not sure what to do about it just yet. Hawk stared at Izuku's new hair color for a moment, but shifted his attention and looked down, and saw the large case Izuku was carrying with him. Ah, is that your hero outfit? Hawks asked, referring to the large metal case with the letters 1A imprinted on it. Yup, it has my hero outfit and some equipment I requested the support class to make for me, Izuku excitedly explained. Perfect, put it on. I was waiting until you arrived to bring you on one of my normal routes. Izuku nervously ran to the nearest room where he could change into his hero outfit and return to the main room where Hawks sat waiting for him. It was similar to his original, with the bunny ears and face mask to cover his mouth and nose. This time, the color was slightly changed to match his new hair color, and the gloves were changed with something more high-tech. The glove still covered all of his fingers, but thanks to the efforts of the support class, the cloth covering his fingers can pull back automatically, letting Izuku freely use his quirk when needed. "You ready?" The pro hero questioned the cyan-haired boy to receive a motivated nod in response. They both set out to walk along the route Hawks normally used and survey the area. Izuku's excited to be wearing his hero suit out in public for the first time, and is surprised when he gets recognized by people who saw him on TV. Hawks took notice of the cyan-haired boy's excitement and chuckled to himself. "You look excited. Want to go on another route after this one?" Hawks questioned the starstruck boy. "Yeah!" Izuku responded impatiently. "Alright, we can go south, a bit closer to Hosu once we get back to the agency." After finishing their first route, Hawks uses his quirk to carry Izuku as he flies them both to the route he had in mind. After a few minutes of flying, they arrive at an area of northern Hosu. Things were going well for their first day, until the pro hero and the student heard a loud explosion come from their right, followed by the screaming of several citizens. Hawks and Izuku ran toward the sounds of explosions, preparing themselves for whatever may come. "Izuku, make sure to stay safe. You're not a pro hero. If there's something that you can't handle, remember, you can rely on me to handle it," Hawks explained to his intern. Izuku nodded as they arrived to see a large navy blue monster with half of its brain revealed on the top of its head. Its creepy eyes looked back at Hawks and Izuku at an inhuman angle. The Nomu, wasting no time, lunged itself at the two heroes. Hawks flew upwards to avoid the Nomu's attack while Izuku leaped to the side, getting out of the way of the large monster. Izuku turned his head to keep his eyes on the dangerous Nomu, not daring to let the creature out of his field of vision for fear it may attack him while unprepared. The Nomu swung its large fist at Izuku, who stepped back to avoid the punch, trying his best to find an opportunity to make contact with the creature without getting hit. Izuku was sure just one hit from this beast of a creature would put him out of commission, so he used his fighting skills to skillfully evade each and every one of the Nomu's attacks. The Nomu kept swinging its fists at the young cyan-haired boy to no avail. Izuku was close to getting his chance to make contact with the Nomu before he felt his back come in contact with the stone wall of a building. His eyes widened as he realized he had backed himself into a corner while avoiding the Nomu's attacks. He looked towards Hawks, who he found to be occupied and being attacked by a winged Nomu. With no help coming, Izuku locked his eyes on the Nomu's movements as the navy blue Nomu roared and swung its arm at the cornered Izuku. Izuku ducked underneath the punch and somersaulted between the large monster's legs to get behind it. He got the perfect opportunity, and he reached out and placed his bare hand on the Nomu's back, activating his quirk. The Nomu began to decay into fine dust. He looked over toward Hawks to see he was finishing up their battle with the winged Nomu and flew over to Izuku to give orders. "Good work, Izuku. Let's try to focus our attention on protecting civilians. I'll use my quirk to distract any Nomu attacking civilians, and you'll focus on leading the civilians to safety. Your quirk will be useful in freeing trapped people under rubble, and if you see the chance you can decay any Nomu I distract, understood?" The winged hero asked his intern. "Got it," Izuku replied with a determined expression. Hawks and Izuku set off on their journey across the streets of Hosu, saving any civilian they come across. "Help! Help me, please! Help, someone! Help me!" Izuku heard the cries out from a nearby building. The apartment complex where the screams were coming from looked to be seriously damaged from the fighting and looked like it could crumble at any minute. Izuku ran into the broken-down apartment complex and searched for the hurt civilian. "Hello? Call out again! I'll find you!" Midoriya yelled out, hoping to reassure them. I'm over here! The male voice called out from the next room. Izuku ran in the direction of the voice and found a collapsed part of the ceiling that fell and crushed a person underneath the heavy rubble. Izuku quickly ran over and decayed the rubble on top of the person and helped them up. "Are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere?" I think my leg is broken," the injured civilian responded with their eyes half closed from pain. Izuku looked down at the man's leg and saw a horrifying sight. The rubble had twisted their lower leg a full 180 degrees. Izuku was grossed out but kept a steady face. If the civilian hadn't noticed it yet, then they must have had a rush of adrenaline filter out their pain. Izuku knew it was best not to let them find out until they received proper medical care. "Alright, I'm gonna need you to focus on where we're going. Don't try to move your leg. I'll help you out of here." Izuku leaned the man on his body for support as he led the man outside, where Izuku found a nearby medical first responder. "Take this man, please. His leg is injured," Izuku explained to the first responder. He was about to leave when the injured man called out to him, making Midoriya turn around. "Wait, I think I remember hearing screams for help from the basement of the building. Please check on them," the civilian begged. "All right, thank you." Wasting no time, Midoriya ran back into the building and around the stairs to the basement. He hurried down, worried that the building might collapse at any moment, and he wanted to get anyone outside before then. Izuku reached the bottom of the stairs and searched around the room. He saw a large pile of rubble piled up from the floor above it, collapsing down. From the rubble, he saw an arm sticking out. The trainee hero rushed over to the rubble and reached to start decaying the rubble on top of the person to free them. But suddenly, the arm quickly reached out and grabbed Izuku's glove. Midoriya's glove began to crumble in front of his eyes, as if he had used his quirk on it. Izuku threw his glove off of his hand and backed away from the person who was not rising out of the decaying rubble. Standing up was a face Izuku recognized well. The light blue-haired man he saw back during the USJ attack. The man with the same quirk as him. My, your hair has changed since the last time I saw you. Are you trying to copy me? The villain asked. What are you doing here? Are you behind this attack? Midoriya questioned. Shigaraki scratched at his neck in excitement before responding. What do you think? Of course I am. Izuku didn't wait for any more words to be shared between them. He reached for a rock and activated his quirk on it before throwing the rock at Shigaraki. Shigaraki raised his arms to block the rock, but unexpectedly to him, it turned to dust midair. Shigaraki lowered his arms to see Izuku was gone, and the next thing he knew, he felt his legs knocked off their balance. Izuku had performed a low sweep kick to knock the villain off balance, and he swiftly went to pin down the villain before he held his bare hand a centimeter away from Shigaraki's neck. I have you trapped! Give up and call back your minions! Izuku demanded from Shigaraki. You expect me to believe your threat? You're too much of a hero to decay an actual person. You may not be prepared to take a life, but I am. Shigaraki called Izuku's bluff and reached out his hand to grab Izuku's revealed neck. Izuku tried to get back to avoid the man's hand, but he knew he wouldn't be able to get away in time. Panicked, the young student had no idea how to stop the villain. Izuku felt something tug on his pocket, as a familiar red feather shot out and cut the villain's wrist, making Shigaraki stop his attack. The feather quickly tugged on Izuku's hood, pulling him away from Shigaraki's reach. Once Shigaraki was freed from Izuku pinning him down, he hurriedly fled into a nearby manifesting portal. Meanwhile, after the fight ended, Hawks let out a sigh of relief that the fight was over and his intern was safe. He had received this knowledge thanks to his feather he had planted on Izuku before they separated. Hawks was in the middle of carrying an injured person to one of the first responder tents that were set up across Hosu in response to the attacks. When Hawks finished delivering the civilian to the medical team, he sighed once again and decided to make good on his responsibilities for taking in an intern from UA. Hawks began muttering to himself, wondering about Izuku. Where is that kid? I can't let my unpaid interns get hurt. Hawks took flight from where he stood and started flying in the direction of the last location his feather resided. Hawks soon found Izuku exiting a broken-down apartment complex. He flew down and landed in front of the cyan-haired boy. What did you get yourself into while I was gone? Hawks asked, already knowing the answer. I'm sorry, I was just trying to help people, but then I was attacked by a villain with the same quirk as me, and... Izuku kept rambling on as he tried to explain himself to the pro-hero, before Hawks had to step in to stop Izuku from over-explaining. Kid, Hawks paused before correcting himself. Wither, it isn't your fault. A villain always has the upper hand in that kind of situation. You handled it well, you just made a misjudgment. These things come with experience. That's why you're out here in the field, to get that experience. Oh, thank you. Don't thank me. I'm supposed to make sure you stay safe. Letting you run off like that was my fault. From now on, you'll stick by my side and assist me with saving civilians, got it? Hawks explained. Izuku nodded his head before Hawks once again took flight as Izuku ran on the ground following beneath him. As Hawks flew in the skies, he put his attention on tracking where a certain feather was. The feather was the same one he had implanted on Izuku, which saved his life. Except now, the feather was hiding in the pockets of a new person. He could feel which direction the feather was in and kept a mental note to investigate that later once Izuku was no longer in his care. He couldn't bring his unpaid intern to the villain's base, could he? Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to say if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years old and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and have a great day.